Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our COVID-19 Resources for Our Communities webinar. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital. I welcome you, as well as to let you know how proud we are to be a partner in this project with Virginia Department of Housing, Community Development, and the Virginia Small Business Development Center Network to host these weekly. One of our objectives is this activity is to share some of the latest resources and tips to help our businesses and communities during this pandemic. Just to let you know, and I know that everyone has a busy schedule, and to be able to keep us within that 1 hour time frame, what we're going to do is ask that if you have a question for our presenter, to please put that in the Q&A section or put it in chat, and we will definitely get to those at the end of her presentation. I'm excited to have Stephanie Keener with the Virginia Small Business Development Center Network in the Lynchburg region to join us today. She's going to be presenting Staying in Touch with Customers During COVID-19 Without Getting Lost in the Crowd. And I think we can all say that we've had a real chore to have to change the way we do businesses normally, especially from a retail standpoint. And now we're having to look at the new realities to serving our clients. A brief bio about Stephanie and the Small Business Development Center Network. If you're not familiar, they provide counseling, training, and resources for small and micro businesses and entrepreneurs in the Campbell, Bedford, Amherst, and Appomattox counties and in the city of Lynchburg. As the executive director, Stephanie develops entrepreneurship and small business programs, marketing, social media classes, conducts marketing and funding research, and other consultations with businesses. She is one of the co-founders of Create Virginia, a conference focused on artists and creative entrepreneurs, and has served as a facilitator for Go Starters in Lynchburg and in many pop-up and boot camp programs throughout the region. Stephanie, thanks for joining us, and I am looking forward to your presentation. This is one of my favorite topics, is anything to do with marketing, so I'm going to turn the screen over to you.
Okay, thank you. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so I'm assuming everybody can see my slides okay. Sandy's giving me the thumbs up. Thank you for that introduction, Sandy. As you heard, I'm the executive director for the Small Business Development Center for the Lynchburg region, and we very proudly serve the city of Lynchburg and the four surrounding counties, Campbell, Bedford, Appomattox, and Amherst. In our region, we're hosted at the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance, which is our local economic development and chamber of commerce. You know, the SBDC in Virginia is a partnership between the Small Business Administration and George Mason University. And we are available for you across the Commonwealth. We have 27 centers across the Commonwealth. So even if you're not in the Lynchburg region, somebody at an SBDC is near you and can serve you with your questions about your small business or any entrepreneurship questions. So today we are going to talk about marketing during the downtime and really staying focused on your customers and communicating with them during this really strange period. So if you have checked out, and I'm sorry, I'm going to look to the side to see my other screen just to see where I am on the slides, but if you've checked out the Virginia SBDC's YouTube, you know that we recently did a short video called 5 Tips for Staying in Contact with Your Best Customers. And if you've seen that video, you're going to hear some of the same themes that I covered there. Those are things like the importance of your core customers and ways to communicate with them during this period of super weird, and some digital tools that you might not know about. We're going to talk about those things here again today, but we're also going to dig a little bit deeper and shift some of our understanding about that as we move toward a new phase of business during this crisis. And I want to start by saying, I think that one of the hardest things I've come to realize as we're moving through this episode has been, well, not one thing, two things. Even when we're done with this, things are going to be different. And secondly, community is so important to us. And that's really a big part of what our businesses are and the service that we provide to our community in our small businesses. So we're going to try to keep those things in mind as we move through today's presentation. Marketing can feel a little icky right now because we're worried about talking to people about spending money with us as our small businesses are suffering and people are losing their jobs and things like that. So we're really going to focus on communications and communicating in our communities. So I'm not going to take a lot of time today talking about the Facebook algorithm. There's other training out there for that if you want to get caught up on some of those pieces of knowledge. I'm not going to tell you about some kind of crazy secret sauce for making $1 million right now. I don't know how to do that. If I did, I wouldn't be here with you today. I'd be doing that. But marketing during this period, marketing during a pandemic of global proportions, it really boils down to focusing on hanging on to those existing customers that you have and how do you meet their needs. It's communicating to them about what you can do now for them and what comes next so that you're keeping tabs on that community that you have with them. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. So first things first, y'all got to be able to get that money. I'm going to probably loop back to this a couple of times, but you need to be able to take payments online in this environment. Adding a payment system to your WordPress or your Wix or your Squarespace site is actually pretty easy. And if you don't have that set up already, if you're taking notes, write this down at the top of your list. Add a payment system to my website. That's going to be one of the biggest things you can do to help yourself along. You can take payments through PayPal if you want to, or you can use a service like Wave Invoicing, just something so that folks can pay online. This is also a great time to clean up that website. If you have some things out there that, you think, oh, I really need to update this, or I've changed my brand colors over time, or just make sure that your website is on brand point. This is a good time to do that. But you need to be letting people know that they can pay you either on the web or at least by phone, right? You need to be able to take those payments remotely. Adding an online payment, you got to do that. Somebody's going to probably ask me in the questions about Venmo or Cash App. If you want to use Venmo or Cash App during this period, fine. But the thing I want to say about them is keep good records. Now is not the time to be slack with your accounting procedures. So if a client Venmos you money, don't forget to create a receipt for that and have that in your records. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I want to remind you of something that maybe nobody's reminded you about lately. And this is a truth. You're in business because you're an expert on something. You're a hairstylist, you're a great bartender, you're a musician who loves the record store that you open. Whatever it is, you're an expert. Something brought you to open this business. And your very best customers know this about you. And that is why they keep coming back to your salon, to your gym, to the venue that you have in your event space or your restaurant. Those people who keep coming back, your regulars, those are the people you need to be talking to first and foremost. I want you to concentrate on them. Take a few minutes to think about who your regular customers are. Who are those folks you see every single week? Because for most businesses, it's those regular customers who keep the lights on and that business running. Your regulars will often account for most of your revenue, and you want to use this period to keep them coming back to you for that expertise. They're coming back to your yoga studio when you're able to reopen because you're a great instructor. They're coming to you because they know that you can help them decide what the right hair color is for them. You have been working with them for a while and you know their personal style and whether or not some wild pattern of tie is going to go with a suit they already have. And this is a great time to remind customers of your expertise so that they keep coming back to you even after some of our social distancing has been able to be in the past. And, best customers, they might look a little bit different for different industries. For restaurants or retail shops, you probably know your regulars because you actually see them coming in the door on a weekly, sometimes even a daily basis. But do you also know who those customers are who may not show up every week or daily, but they're out there talking about your shop? Those are best customers too. And for some industries, those folks who are super engaged in marketing are really highly valuable. For example, if you're in real estate or you sell other big ticket items like a car, the people who share your social posts because they love old houses are your best customers. Most people don't buy a house or a car more than a few times in their lives. So those people who engage in that online community, those are really important people. So my first question for you is, do you have an email list? You need to contact your best customers with a personal email. Now, you probably already sent a bunch of emails out that were those emails like, this is what we're doing during COVID-19, and these are the expectations we have. That's not the email that I'm talking about. I'm talking about an actual personal email that shows that customer that you sat down and you wrote an email out to Jane, right? You want to make that email a real personal, authentic email. If you have their phone number, call them or text them, leave a voicemail, let them know that you're reaching out to them and you really want to hear back from them. You could even support the post office by buying some stamps and send them a postcard right now. Who wouldn't love to get a beautiful postcard in the mail from somebody that they do business with regularly, just to let you know that you're thinking about them. Another question that you need to answer while you're thinking about your marketing and staying in touch with your customers during COVID-19 is, do you understand what your core products are? Now is the time to really take a look at what that basic offering or service is that you think is core to the people who represent a big portion of your sales. You're already collecting data on this, and you can figure out what your core products are if you aren't already sure. Just go through your appointment book and see what your most popular service is. What do you sell out of most frequently? What are the things that those folks are really engaged with? The things that your core customers like best. So ask yourself this: is there a way you can continue to support that core product for now? You've probably already thought about how to include delivery or at-home coaching if you're, say, a personal trainer or something like that. Those are great ideas. Keep that up. And you're probably going to have to pivot to a new delivery style. And frankly, sometimes right now that is literally a delivery style, right? We've seen so many good examples of salons and gyms doing that. The other day, I had to laugh at one of my best friends from high school. she literally went out and met her hair colorist in the parking lot at the zoo in her city so they could do a social distance drop off of her hair color. And then her stylist gave her a FaceTime tutorial about how to color her hair in her own bathroom. So, this is the time you need to go through that appointment book and email somebody who is ready to get their brows waxed, right? Just send them a text or an email and say, look, you had a brow waxing appointment coming up. Let's talk about how to pluck, right? You could get on FaceTime with them and do a great little plucking tutorial. We don't need anybody going to the ER right now with a wax burn. So give them some other options as opposed to do your waxing at home or whatever, right? You want to keep them safe and you want to help them feel their best when they come back out of our time of confinement. Here's another hilarious example of a way that folks have pivoted. There's a farm in Silicon Valley, a local rescue that often had visitors come in to pet their animals. So they have lots of animals like llamas and goats and things like that. They are normally getting revenue from the tours and donations that they take in. Because that has dropped off, they've started offering a service where they will Zoom a farm animal into your work meeting. They'll do it for $65. It's called Goat to Meeting. So I want everybody out there who's listening, you all need to have a goat or a llama or a pig at your next meeting. I think it would be fantastic. Those folks, it's called Happy Valley Farm. They know that people are missing stopping by to see the animals. So they found a really hilarious, inventive way to bring the animals to you in our COVID reality. So let's talk about some concrete maneuvers you can make for your marketing and really your social media marketing right now. I'm going to say a few things to you that everybody is saying. Do not stop marketing. It is really important for you to keep in front of your customers. Do not go dark. And look, I know that everybody is spending time on social media right now. Some of our Virginia businesses are killing it on social right now. I want to give you a shout out to my very favorite bookstore, Givens Books, Givens Little Dickens here in Lynchburg. They are absolutely killing Instagram. They are doing things like FaceTime shops, and they had pre-stuffed Easter baskets last weekend. You could call in and say, put this in, don't put that in. It's they were giving you great advice about appropriate toys for age ranges and books, things like that. And, I look forward to seeing the inside of the bookstore and hearing from the owner, Danny, every single day. But, the fact is, sometimes you can do all of that work and it feels like you're going to do a lot of work that may not have the kind of return on investment in actual sales that you really need right now. People are saying to you, do a Facebook Live, but you might be thinking, is that really going to return money right now? I need those sales right now. And the other thing is, it feels like everybody's doing that, right? How are you going to float to the top of the pile when, you might just get lost in the void? I'll be honest with you, those are absolutely valid concerns, right? This is when we would normally pivot to a conversation about, the Facebook algorithm and how important it is for engagement and things like that. Again, I want to send you to facebook.com/business. That's going to give you some great information about how Facebook and Instagram both work. So that's a great place to think about that. But right now, I want to keep talking to you about what kinds of public content to do just to remain at the top of mind of all your customers. So number one, keep posting. Even if you've decided to actually close temporarily, keep posting. There are a lot of businesses that are doing things right now, even though they're closed to the public. So things like training. If your employees are learning skills, new skills during this period, absolutely show that off. I've seen physical therapy offices post about, continuing education that they're doing. That's great. If you're in the restaurant or hospitality industry, ServeSafe is actually offering some free courses right now. And you and your employees should be taking those, and you should be showing us every time you complete one of those courses. Are you doing any updates or improvements in the shop? Show us that. If you have less people in the shop, right now is the time to do some of those fix-ups that you've wanted to do for a while, painting or some of those other things. If you're just plain cleaning, post about it. Those are the kinds of things that we want to see you doing in the store. If you have customers who are essential workers that you want to give a shout out to, post about them. Those are a great way to honor our, frontline physicians, nurses, our grocery store workers. They are getting a lot of love, but they need more. They can take all the love that they can get right now. And here's the thing. I really, really, really want everybody to post about cleaning and training. Our economy is built on customers feeling safe in our shops. You've got the time, break down your cash wrap area and scrub it down. Post about that. Pull the books off the shelf and dust and Lysol. Clean everything. Think through how you're going to maintain hygiene and social distancing once we're able to really reopen. Is there a spot in your shop where people often stand a little bit too close together, or are the tables in the restaurant far enough apart? Show us on your social media how you're planning for being able to maintain social distancing and hygiene as we're able to open. That's going to help your customers feel safe in the future. And again, have your client or have your employees be taking some of those classes that ServeSafe and others are offering right now. You can celebrate your employees when they do that. That's just more content for you. Pretty often when I'm coaching people one-on-one, especially new businesses and startups, we have to talk to them about how you don't really want to focus on, you need to talk about demographics, but let's not get focused on demographics. And we try to think about focusing on the ideal customer, right? And what that individual's needs might be. That helps guide us toward marketing and planning for our business. But here we're going to take a little bit of a different approach. As we're thinking about how to work with customers in a COVID-19 reality, you need to be thinking about demographics. If you serve a significant number of clients or customers who are older folks or people who have underlying medical conditions, in other words, if we're looking at a slow open and those folks are your best customers, how are you going to make them feel comfortable in coming back to your store when they need to continue to maintain some level of isolation? So if you're a business that serves an industry that's going to need to shift in some way in order to accommodate that, talk to us about that now on social media. Now, listen, and I'm really thinking about salons here. Here's an idea. If you have, your first days coming up and we're, thinking about what those first appointments are going to look like, y'all, we're all going to come out of this looking like Captain Caveman, right? Those first appointments that you have are going to be highly valuable. Your first salon appointments, your first massage appointments, your first day back where everybody can sit at the bar in your restaurant and see each other, those first days are going to be like gold. So let's have some fun with it. I think you should auction those first salon appointments off. Have absolute fun with that. Make a post about it on social media. We're going to auction off our first salon appointment, and we're going to give the proceeds from that appointment to a local charity that's been impacted by COVID-19, or something like the Virginia Hospitality Relief Fund. That first day back in the restaurant, you need to make sure you're taking reservations for that day, even if you don't normally. And again, you can have fun with it and auction off those tables and give the proceeds to a charity. Those are great things that get a lot of engagement on social media. Okay, let's think about right now again, just to give you a few tips about things to do for now. How can you stay? I want to talk about a couple of ways that might generate a little bit of income, but most importantly, let's talk about things that are targeted at keeping your very best customers continuing in your business's community. So we've got sort of two tracks here. One are things that you might spend a little bit of money on in order to keep in touch with your customers right now. And two, what are some free things that you can make work? The first category are those things that cost a little bit of money, but they're definitely going to make things easier for you and your customer. Honestly, a lot of this stuff works that I'm going to talk about works together. So it's not like you're going to pick one thing and then the other. You're probably going to do Zoom and Instagram in this way, or Zoom and a Facebook group, or maybe just one. It's up to you. First of all, if you listen to podcasts, you probably heard about Patreon. A lot of artists and creatives use Patreon to provide members-only access to extra content. But here's something that you may not realize about Patreon. Any business can use it. And I want to use a restaurant as an example, because this is an area for members only. You could feel a little bit better about teaching your very best customers a few of your bartender tricks. You aren't sending it out to everybody on Facebook the way that you would with a Facebook Live or something like that. And when creatives use Patreon to share these kinds of secrets, they charge for it. So I'm going to tell you about a few examples that I have here. This first example is from House of Brinson. Susan and Will Brinson are renovating their 1870s home. And by the way, you guys are going to notice an old house theme with me. Sorry. They're renovating an 1870s home, and Susan is a really talented decorator. On her Patreon, she gives away a curated list of her favorite antique shops in their area, which is the Hudson Valley of New York, along with her secret notes. And those notes are things like, in this town, you can go in this shop, and this particular owner is a really good negotiator, or, don't ever lowball so-and-so because they'll walk away from the deal. Those are the kinds of things that you pay for if you sign up for the House of Brinson Patreon. Another really wonderful creator is Layla Saad. She has a completely different approach to how she uses Patreon. She uses it basically as a tip jar. She doesn't add any extra content there. She just says, listen, you read my posts on my Instagram page, you listen to my podcast. She's a writer and an activist. You may be familiar with her work, Me and White Supremacy. It's been on the New York Times bestseller list. So she, puts a lot of effort into creating that podcast and her Instagram pages. We're getting a lot of education from her for free. So she says, if you like my work, just, give me a few extra dollars in the Patreon. Show me that this is valuable to you. The third example I have here is Binging with Babish. He's a YouTuber, and he's a pretty famous YouTuber. Actually, he does a lot of cooking and actually eating on his page. He has a cookbook, and on the Patreon page, he actually puts a few recipes from the book on the page and extra content. You get early videos, things like that on the Patreon page. So that's sort of three different approaches. Now, Patreon does take a processing fee on every bit of revenue that you earn. It starts at 5% and goes up depending on who you have. And they also charge credit card processing fees. You can also use Google Hangouts or Zoom or other live video features like what we're doing right now to have a real-time conversation with your best customers. And let's use a gym as an example. Maybe you have a group of folks who show up to work out about the same time every day. And, that's a community that happens in your business. Those folks are definitely missing that routine and they're probably missing each other. So you could set up a video chat for those people at about the same time every day through Zoom or Google Hangouts, so that even if they aren't actually working out together, they get a little bit of that community time. They could share their favorite quarantine recipes or workout goals, or just have other conversations that they have with each other at the gym. And that can be a part of a members only package that you set up on your website or through Patreon if you wanted to use that. For entertainment venues or for bookstores or record stores or any of those kinds of places, you could use those group chats to have a happy hour, talk about an album or a book. This is when you just completely nerd out over a band, right? That is the stuff that happens in your business. That's the community that we're talking about. And you can certainly help facilitate that for your customers during this period as well. So think about those conversations you used to have in your shop. Is it about new products? Is it about your opinion on other products? That kind of content that you would put here on Patreon or in the Zoom conversation, that's known as gated content. Consider what kinds of things that you want to keep behind the gate for those very best customers. And look, you already do this in your shop. This feels a little bit different and it feels a little bit weird, but you do this. If I am sitting in your salon chair and I ask you about what the best conditioner is for my hair while you're cutting my hair, you're giving me a product review and your opinion, and I'm paying you for that process, right? We are having this exchange with me because I am your customer. That is gated content. You wouldn't walk up to me on the street and say, listen, you really need to be using this other kind of conditioner. I don't know, maybe you would, but I probably wouldn't come in your shop if you did that. So you're already in the business of gated content. You're just moving it to a new platform here. And listen, if you're using G Suite to manage your email, which I bet a lot of the small businesses that are with us today are, you already have access to Google Meet or kind of an expanded Google Hangouts. And you can set up video chats through that, and it won't cost you anything extra. On the other hand, we've had a lot of feedback that Zoom is really easier to use for a lot of people across most platforms. So that's when you're thinking this stuff through, you really want to think through what's best for your customers. If your customers are going to be challenged using Meet or another product that they're not really familiar with, like Patreon, then you want to do what's really going to make them feel most comfortable. Okay, let's talk about a couple of free options for maintaining community with those regulars. So let's grab another idea from the creative community: secret Instagrams. You can set up a private Instagram account and only let your best customers in on it. This is a place you could give daily updates, specific tutorials and stories and Instagram stories, or on Facebook stories that are going to expire after 24 hours. You could put product reviews there, and just any of the fun community stuff that you do together in your shop. Things like, this is my favorite workout playlist, or have fun talking about your yoga inspirations, or tell the story about why you're a barber. And yes, you can charge people to access that Instagram. I can, explain how you do this later, but I think if you check out my example here, you'll see how this works. So here's an example from real estate. This is the real estate website Circa Houses that I want to tell you about. Look, when you go and check this out, I want you to go ahead and clear out about 3 hours on your calendar because they have some amazing houses across the United States for sale. It is such a rabbit hole. You will be amazed at the homes that they have listed there. But Circa has a secret Instagram page where they post houses that are in need of renovation. And these are all houses that are all priced at less than $100,000. And if you go to their website and look, and I have the link in the slides, if you go to their website and look, you will see that they charge $2 a month to get access to that Instagram page. And you could set your own price for this depending on what the services and products are that you're providing. So 5 hours later, you go to this website. Don't say I didn't warn you, but you need to check out how they do this secret Instagram thing. If you're more comfortable on Facebook, you could do a similar concept with a closed Facebook group. Now, most of us are already in Facebook groups, and you're kind of familiar with how that works. So you know that members that or folks that come to your shop regularly, they can join the conversation and have conversations with each other, upload their own content, and just generally have a good time without you having to necessarily be in the mix. Facebook groups is a good opportunity for businesses where you might have customers, that like to chat with each other, like a gym. Think about those folks who hang out at the bar on Saturday night. They probably enjoy chatting with each other, and they probably would do that on Facebook given the opportunity. A secret group can be set up totally for free, and you just have to let your folks know about it. And I've already said this, but a gym, if you have a gym and you don't have a secret Facebook page set up for those folks, you definitely need to do it, because those folks that work out together, they're probably missing each other right now. So listen, the thing we're all having a hard time with that we're missing, which I've said over and over again, is community. And a lot of that community happens in the businesses where we hang out and where we shop. So if your business involves customers talking to each other, I really encourage you to start that Facebook group, or at least schedule a Google Hangout or something for them. That's really going to keep them together and keep your business at the top of their mind. And think about how you're going to make those customers who are joining these members only spaces feel really, really special. Think about rewarding them with a t-shirt or stickers. You could give your regular customers group a fun name. Being a part of a group is really important to us, and I think that we're all struggling with missing that right now. I promise your customers will enjoy that, but plan an in-person meetup for them when we can get together soon, even if it's just hanging out in the shop and having a glass of wine together. I think that you could, your customers will be thrilled to get back together again. So if one of the things that you're doing to help make your customers feel really special, kind of like that example of meeting in the parking lot to drop off the hair color, remember, if you're doing that, maintain your social distancing. But marketing during this period, it's about communication. Communication is about community, and you want to make sure that you're honoring that community in this time. That's really the through line here, is how do we honor the community that takes place in our businesses? So what do we have? Let's be personal about our contacts with our customers, right? Be very real in your contact with your best customers. Call them by their name, call them on the phone, just generally check in with them. Make sure that you have tools that your customers will have the easiest time accessing. So think about who your customers are. Are they Instagram folks? Are they people who can handle a something new like Patreon? Can they get on Zoom and chat with each other? Whatever works for your customers, put that into place. And finally, think about how you're going to reward those best customers when we're through this. You appreciate their loyalty and you can show it. So as I said, Sandy, I think is going to share the slides with you. All of these links about the tools that I talked about are here. There's Zoom, Patreon, and then I've given you the link to the Google for Small Business tools. If you aren't using G Suite or really are plugged into some of the tools that Google has, go ahead and check through those. There's some great free options there. And then the Facebook for Business tool. This is a great time to review how Facebook and Instagram works. So you should spend some time checking out this Facebook page. It has some great tutorials on marketing and advertising using both of those platforms. And then the 4 examples that I gave you. And so finally, I just want to say thanks before we start taking questions. Again, we're the Virginia SBDC. I'm the director for the Lynchburg region. We're part of the Small Business Administration at George Mason University, and I'm part of the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance. Our contact information is there. You can find us across Virginia at virginiasbdc.org, and you can find us in Lynchburg at sbdclynchburgregion.org. And Sandy, I can take some questions.
So far, you must have really gave them lots to think about, because I know I've made a whole page of notes that it's great content. Some things that it was like, why didn't I think about that you provided? I really, I hope that folks are going to implement these tips. And just for those of you that are joining in, we will have this video from Stephanie up on the Virginia Community Capital's Facebook page, so that you can view at your leisure and to pick up. I'm sure I missed some things even in jotting down quickly, but right now, I don't see any questions.
I probably shot myself in the foot with questions because I told them about Circa houses, and they're all going through all the fantastic houses that they're going to buy when they win the lottery.
They're going to miss out then by not taking this opportunity to talk with you. Also, I wanted to mention that Stephanie will be back with us again on Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. So if you have a associate or a service supplier or anyone that's in business or even in community that could benefit from this, please have them register and join us on Tuesday at 6 p.m. That's the way to do it. We got some great comments. This was absolutely amazing. Thanks so much. Thank you. I think everybody got a lot from it. And again, I know that it takes a lot to put these presentations together. And I really do thank you for taking the time today to be part of this.
Well, I'm happy to be back on Tuesday. So like Sandy said, if you come up with something between then and now, you're welcome to shoot me an email. I'm at skeener, skeener at lynchburgregion.org. You're always welcome to ask me a question there or on Facebook.
And someone asked, how do they register for this? Go to Virginia Community Capital's website, and it's also, we have all the registration on our Facebook page. There's a lot of ways that you can connect with us, and I'd be happy if you want. I can send, as when I send out the slides that Stephanie's going to be providing with you, I can share the links as well. But again, you can look on our Virginia Community Capital website and on our Facebook page for those links. Again, I thank you, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And let's keep moving forward, we're going to all get through this crisis together, use these ideas that Stephanie provided today, and be ready for when it is time that your customers are going to be coming to you in droves. So thanks again for attending, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, everybody.
See you guys on Tuesday, Sandy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.